Yo, welcome to another episode of the Hot Seat Podcast. This is episode 11. To my right, to my left, it's just me today, guys. I sent Wilson and Christian to Venezuela to do some marketing research on how we could grow this podcast to be the biggest football podcast in the world. We got a lot of cool stuff today. We're going to be talking about power rankings, crossword puzzles, fantasy teams, Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp, and I'm going to be giving you guys my best quarterback of each division. So if any of that interests you guys, stick around because today we got a banger. All right, so let's go straight into these power rankings, man. We got 5 teams to talk about today. From the Sweet Lou episode to now, I only have one real, different team. So let's just get kind of straight into this, man. At number 5, I have the Buffalo Bills. They beat the Dolphins. They lost to the Jaguars this week in London. I feel like that's kind of a fluky game considering the Jaguars have been in London the last 2 weeks, so they're a little used to the time change. Buffalo to London, that's a huge ass difference. I bet it's a difference in the crowd too. I mean, if you think of London people compared to people in Buffalo, Buffalo kind of goes hard. London, I bet that whole arena stunk with them opening their mouth. So I got Buffalo at number 5 only because they're 3-2. A lot of these other teams are 4-1, 5-0. So I can't really put them too high, but I think as far as roster construction and Super Bowl contendership, those are some big words. I got them being able to make some noise in the playoffs this year for sure. At number 4, I got the Kansas City Chiefs. So plain and simple, man, it's hard to put Mahomes out of your top 5. Their defense has looked pretty dominant this year, and Mahomes is doing the thing he always does where you put out these shitty receivers, Justin Watson's, MVS, Sky Moore. Rashee Rice looks like a decent receiver. He has some potential, that kid. You got them all out there, and Mahomes just sling it to whoever and have a good defense behind him. I feel like this is one of Mahomes' best defenses he's had his whole career. So I got them at number 4. And the only reason they're not ahead of number 3 is because number 3 is the team that beat them. Give me the Detroit Lions at number 3. I mean, I'm going to talk my shit a little bit here. You Jahmyr Gibbs lovers keep coming at my neck acting like I don't know football. And it's a fuck you to you. Because I like Jahmyr Gibbs a lot. Don't get me wrong. He's a talented young player. But we're talking about a $20 million player. Let me ask you guys something. If someone came into your office and got $20 million and they were in catering, how would you feel? They're just sitting back doing nothing and they're getting paid $20 million? I bet the Lions organization would not like that. And that's kind of what's going on right now with Montgomery. They're just pounding him. We're looking at 4 touchdowns in 2 weeks. And it would feel disrespectful to have them lower. Their defense is a super underrated unit. Aiden Hutchinson's reminding me a lot of what a young J.J. Watt was doing. So I got them at number 3, and the top 2 teams, it's preference at this point, but these are the clear-cut top 2 in the NFL, considering they're the only 2 undefeated teams. We got the San Francisco 49ers at number 2. You guys know I really like them this year. I'm riding for them. I love Big Cock Brock. They got a lot going on with that offense. It's a super deep offense, but when you compare them to the Eagles, Jalen Carter, let me make sure I'm saying this right. It's Jalen. I mixed them up last week, too. I think it's Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis is a country singer. I still think it's okay. No. It's Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter is looking like one of the best defensive tackles in football right now. He's just a beast as a rookie. I think that defense is a lot, and the 49ers defense. I mean, we saw it on Sunday Night Football this week. They showed their ass against the Cowboys. They fucked them up. I can't wait to see some Eagles-Cowboys games for sure, but the 49ers and the Eagles are the 2 clear-cut teams. I'm just rolling with the Eagles because I think I like their players a little more. I like Jalen Hurts over Brock. DeAndre Swift and McCaffrey, come on. You already know McCaffrey's the guy. But DeAndre Swift, Kenneth Gainwell, Rashad Penny, they have probably a better running back room than the Niners. And then you talk about A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith compared to Debo and Ayuk. I know who I'm taking there. So Goddard looked good this week. Their O-line looks good. The tush push looks unstoppable. And their defense looks good. The 49ers defense is probably a little better. But I'm taking the Eagles number 1. I think they're probably the clear-cut Super Bowl favorite this year. So rock with the Eagles. If you want to do some live bets, bet on them to win the Super Bowl. Let's get into this crossword puzzle Wilson put together. All right, so Will's prepared a little crossword for us from, where did I say, Venezuela? Wherever the fuck they're at. Will's prepared a crossword, so I'm going to try to knock it out. I'm going to say I got a 5-minute timer. So
I'll set it for you.
All right, Deucer's going to set me a timer. I'm looking at this now. We got Wrote Me Off on here. Shiesty plays with Derrick Henry. Super Bowl champ with A-Rod. Beat cancer. Bald receiver. retired early. I feel like I'm going to struggle. I feel like I struggle on these a lot. Deucer's got the timer ready. Let's go.
Timer's up. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, so I'm going to go with Shiesty right away. That has to be Burrow. One down, Burrow. Lock it in. Correct. Wrote me off is Smith. Okay, so we got 2 there. Now this is where I struggle. 5 minutes. We might have to cut this out if I struggle too much. Beat cancer. I want to say that's Eric Berry. And that is correct. Wilson said there's a theme on this one. I'm not seeing a theme right now with Burrow, Berry, Geno. Plays with Derrick Henry. We're looking at Tajay Spears, isn't it? Is it Tannehill?
How do you spell that?
It's Tannehill. And that's correct. Let's go. That's a big one. 4 across, that's Jordy Nelson. So just put Nelson there. 5 down, retired early, starts with an L, and 7 across, bald receiver. Man, I'm trying to think. Oh, is 7 Keenan Allen? That's the bald receiver, the premier bald receiver in the NFL. And now we're going 5 down, man. I should do these alone more. I could not do these crosswords with everybody here. A retired early player. First thing I think of is Calvin Johnson, then Barry Sanders, and then it's kind of up in the air. L down.
That's it.
That's time. Fuck. All right, text Wilson. We'll figure out the answer by the end of the show.
We'll never know the answer.
He'll let us down. I don't know who the hell that is. We're going to cut to an ad break really quick, and then we'll get into our next segment. It's October. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We dropped some pink playbook merch for you guys to help support breast cancer. 60% of that goes to breast cancer, so check it out. All right, these are just 2 kind of players I wanted to highlight this week. Big name guys. We're talking about Jonathan Taylor and Cooper Kupp. There's a lot of fantasy outlook we can have on these guys. There's a lot of thoughts after 1 week. So I'm here to bring it to you guys. I'm going to start off with talking about Cooper Kupp. I feel like there's kind of a lot less to say when it comes to Coop. He kind of did what he did his whole career, the last 3 seasons, and he just looked like a good receiver. I don't know how much action Puka got with him there. I'm gonna look into that really quick, but it did look like Cooper Kupp was kind of just taking Puka's role. I mean, like Cooper Kupp's old role, so it's not really taking it. But when you look at like Cooper Kupp had 8 receptions for 118 yards, Puka had 7 for 71 and a touchdown. Everyone told you guys like, oh, Puka's still worth it to have on your fantasy team, and I agree. I mean, when you look at Puka and Tutu, Puka's obviously a lot more talented than Tutu, and now he's playing in that wide receiver 2 role that Puka was in. I mean, that Tutu was in. So it's kind of confusing, the Puku, the Tutu, you already know. But Puka Doncic, I mean, he looks really good, and he's going to be a great wide receiver 2 all year. I could see the Rams sneaking up in that division and maybe landing a wild card spot in the playoffs. They do look like a really good roster on offense. Their defense, not so much, but they're going to be on the field a lot. And again, that's really good for Cooper Kupp. They'll be down a lot. That's really good for Cooper Kupp. And Stafford. I got Stafford in my fantasy league. And we'll talk about my team a little later. But Jonathan Taylor's someone who's kind of scaring me so far. If you look at what happened in the first game, and I believe they said he wasn't going to be on a snap count, and I don't think he was, but it really looked like he got outplayed by Zach Moss. He was on a limited snap count, actually. My mistake. But Zach Moss did look like he looked like a tank. I'm not gonna lie. Like Zach Moss, I feel like he's been getting a lot of disrespect this season and his career. Honestly, like people don't take him really seriously. But when you look at like Zach Moss had 23 carries for 165 yards and 2 touchdowns. We're looking at 7 yards per carry in a game they only won by 7. Like I mean, that's like not ignorable. You got to keep Zach Moss in this offense at least a little bit. You could have a 60-40 split, but I think anything more than that, 60-40 for Jonathan Taylor, I think anything more than 40% or less than 40% of touch-ins for Zach Moss is kind of disrespectful, especially after what we saw this week. If he could get more rest also on the field and still come out and explode. I think Jonathan Taylor will get those goal line touches. He'll get like the valuable kind of touches you want for your fantasy running back. But Zach Moss, I mean, you talk about a dude who's just going to go out there and make plays. We saw 2 touchdowns, and they were long. They were long touchdowns. Yeah, I mean, I'm rocking out with Zach Moss. I would probably still say he's a startable fantasy player after what we saw this week. But Jonathan Taylor, I mean, it kind of raises some questions. He got paid. He won't get traded. But still, I'm riding with Zach Moss. Looking at Wilson's, Christian, and I's, our friend league fantasy lineup. So let's talk about my team first. Go to what are you doing?
Where is that?
On the bottom. Fuck you.
Oh, there you go.
What are you doing? I mean, I've been working on my team. You might have to scroll a little bit on this, Izzy.
Yeah. Here, I got it. There we go.
Cool.
Shows most of them. Just to show you defense.
Cool, that's fine. So I got Lamar and Stafford at my quarterbacks. A lot of people have been hitting me about Lamar. I'm willing to sell him, but I'm not a buy, like, sell low type of guy. You know, like, don't be lowballing me. We know who the fuck Lamar is. We know I have an MVP on my roster. And I got Stafford and Derek Carr, too. Derek Carr had a good fantasy week this week. And he had a good week in general. I mean, you win 34-0. Like, come on. You know I had that DJ Moore game? On my team. DJ Moore balled out for me. He put up 49 in our league, which is pretty ridiculous. I know people got bait in the ass. Ramondre Stevenson, I don't want to say you fucking suck because the Patriots fucking suck, but you fucking suck because the Patriots fucking suck. You know, it's a problem out there, man. It really hurts being a guy with Ramondre on my team, trying to ride for him every week. And it's like, if you look at my running backs, I didn't even have Kamara to start the year. So we're talking about Ramondre, Javonte, and Ford. I got to figure out who to start between all of these bums. Like, Roshan might get the start this week if Herbert's gone, and Herbert is gone. But I think Roshan might miss the game too. And that's a problem for me. Javonte, step it the fuck up. Please step up. I need you, Javonte. You're disappointing me. Hollywood Brown, God bless your soul. I did not think you would be the guy you are this year. Shout out Josh Dobbs. Let's go look at another team on there. Izzy, if you could go back for me. And we could take a look at Tank for Trevor. That's going to be Wilson's team. I actually just whooped Wilson this week in fantasy. So he has a little bit of an excuse. Yeah, I mean, we got Zay Flowers here again. Tank Dell, you know it's my guy, but not the best week for him. Wilson actually started Rashee Rice in his super flex over Bryce Young. That's a bag for him. When a game where you only lose by 7, you don't want to be leaving points on the table like that. Yeah, Jalen Warren was on his bench. A lot of points were on his bench. He did barely lose, 152-144 our game. But yeah, I mean, the better man came out alive. He had Breece Hall give him 28. Like, that's not going to happen consistently, man. That's why you're about to be on the bottom of the league. I'm coming for the top, man. I'm coming for the top. What'd you say?
That was a sneak diss. You absolutely just destroyed him.
That's what he gets.
Yeah.
They want to play with me. They can play with me. I'm coming for the top of this league. I got a really deep roster now. All of a sudden, I mean, to start the year, my team was a joke. I traded Justin Fields for Stafford and Kamara, and shit's really turning up for the boy. Let's take a look at Christian's team now. Last and least, Christian's team. Actually, he put up 150. I'm not going to lie. Christian might have the best team in this fucking league, dude. Jonathan Taylor's back for him. A.J. Brown. They've been talking a lot of shit in the group chat with this Jonathan Taylor trade that they had. A.J. Brown was traded for Calvin Ridley in this league, and Christian got an absolute steal. He stole from him. Sam Howell is a fucking killer. I'm really liking Christian Watson. I didn't get to watch the game tonight, but Christian Watson just has all the upside in the world. If Jordan Love could throw the fucking football, then we'd have a real situation. He has Amon-Ra on his bench. Like, come on. Christian also rosters 2 defenses. I mean, I don't know who the fuck he thinks he is. He's not Belichick, but it's pretty interesting. I mean, Mahomes and how those guys will win you games. Taylor win you games. A.J. Brown win you games. And Laporta's I know he's the top 5 wide receiver. I want to say a top 2, not wide receiver, tight end. Sam Laporta this season, I don't know what he is. I don't know how to find this shit. ESPN, they got Sam Laporta ranked 4, 5, around that range. I mean, I don't know how reliable these guys are, but Sam Laporta, definitely a elite tight end, especially as a rookie to be ranked that high. He's going to be a dog this year for sure. So, yeah, I mean, when you look at these fantasy teams, man, I would like you guys to send a couple more teams my way. I love breaking them down. Every Sunday you'll see me tweeting, start this dude, bench this dude. So, yeah, just keep a lookout for our Twitter account, twitter.com or x.com/playbooksportshq. All your fantasy sit starts. 1 week, someone tweeted their team at me and asked me, like, who should I sit, who should I start? I would love to see more of that. So, if you guys have fantasy questions, really any questions, if you need life advice, therapy, if you got a drug addiction you got to kick, tweet at me, man. And we got you covered here at Playbook, man. We'll hook it up. Let's get into this last segment of the show. Today, we got our best quarterbacks of each division. We're going to start off with just obvious ones. We're going to look at the NFC East, AFC West. Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes. Those are the two obvious ones. Like, not really much I want to say about those guys. But now if we look in like some of these divisions that are a little tighter, NFC West, the options are Stafford, Geno, Brock Purdy, Josh Dobbs. I'm kicking Josh Dobbs off the list, especially after this week. He fucked up my parlay this week, so fuck you, Josh Dobbs, unfortunately. Stafford and Geno, they've been great all year, but I think Brock Purdy has to be the guy. I don't see too much of a difference in like a lot of like quarterback and like arm strength decision making between these three guys. Maybe decision-making. Stafford's fucking a dumbass sometimes. But this year, Stafford's been efficient. Brock Purdy's 5-0. I feel like that kind of gives the edge. And for all you people who are like, winning isn't a quarterback stat, come on. When you're like contributing, then it's a quarterback stat. If you're not contributing, then it's a quarterback stat because you're losing yourself games. But if you're kind of like in the middle, like a Garoppolo type of player, like I'm not going to sit here and be like, Garoppolo wins games, Garoppolo loses games. Because Garoppolo is just like, goes out there and gets paid and looks good. So it's like, why would I talk about winning stats? But when you're like contributing, then yeah, it's a fucking winning stat. So now let's talk about the NFC South. They got the worst quarterback in the league, Desmond Ridder, who drove down and beat the Texans this week. Fuck you. We're looking at Baker Mayfield, Derek Carr, Bryce Young. I feel like those are the three dudes to really talk about here. And I'm going to roll with Baker Mayfield out of those three. I mean, Derek Carr, he's cool. He had a good week, but it's kind of like you get a good week out of Derek Carr, and you're like, oh, Derek Carr's a good quarterback, and then you get a fucking negative performance, and you're like, what are we even doing? Throws 3 picks or some bullshit, and they talk about getting Jameis to eat a W. Bryce Young, just haven't seen much from him. Nowhere near the Rookie of the Year, though. So shout out C.J. Stroud, but Baker Mayfield, I think, is the best quarterback in the NFC South. We look at the NFC North. I need to tweet this one because I feel like out of these 4 quarterbacks, any one of them could be the best quarterback in their division. We're looking at Jordan Love, Kirk Cousins, Justin Fields, and Jared Goff. Can't be Justin Fields because I just traded him in fantasy, and then he wants to ball out. So that's a sneak diss on my name. You get a sneak diss on your name, Justin Fields. You don't get any love on this show. Jordan Love had a real shitter this week, and Kirk Cousins actually went toe-to-toe with Mahomes. Kirk Cousins looked pretty good this week. But I got to give it to Goff, man. I'm going to keep riding with the Lions all year. Wilson's going to have to buy me a nice dinner because the Lions are definitely going to win more games than the Broncos, and he falls into my little trap every year. Next up, let's go to the AFC North. This one, honestly, might have some of the best quarterback play in football right now. We're looking at Lamar, Deshaun, and Joe Shiesty. And I think it's Lamar. I mean, those other guys are like good options, but Lamar's on a tier of their own. I just felt like not putting them in like a obvious ones tier because like these guys are still names you gotta account for. And then there's 2 more left. I want to talk about these because these I feel like both the players are like boom and boom. They're right next to each other. In the AFC East, we got Tua and Josh Allen. Tua this year has looked amazing. We're talking about an MVP pick probably this year. But I gave it to Josh Allen. I mean, they beat them. Josh Allen is Josh Allen. He started off the first 3 weeks looking pretty bad. Week 4. Week 5, he looked good too. Even though they lost in London, week 5, he looked good. So Josh Allen, definitely a beast. I'm going to give him the AFC East nod. And then AFC South, man. You know I had to go with my boy CJ Stroud. But shout out T-Law, man. It just sucks you can only win games in London, my boy. So that's what we're going with. That's what we're rocking with. That's the episode of the Hot Seat Podcast. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. share, man. This is a banger. It's kind of weird doing a solo pod. So if you guys could show a little extra love on this one for me, it would be much appreciated. Thank you guys. Peace.